Yo, what up? Welcome back to Korea Blockchain Week 2025. This is Eric Spivak from Blockster Media and New Friendship Tech, and we are here with EstateX. They are doing some really incredible things throughout the space, and it's the first time that I've heard about them, so I feel like I'm sleeping or slacking or lacking somewhere because they're doing really big things. So without further ado, I'd love for you to introduce yourself, say who you are, where you're from, where you're at, where you're going, and then I'm just going to ask you some questions. Nothing that's too much of a curveball or anything that you got to duck the jabs, but I think you'll be all right. So, yeah, let's hear from you.
So I'm Steve Lawrence, Business Development Lead. Do you want me to hold it or no? Steve. I'm Steve Lawrence, Business Development Lead, Chief Marketing Officer, and a lot of other hats for Estateex. And obviously you're saying it's the first time that you know about us, but you know the saying, if you don't know, you better get to know. So this is the time that you're about to know. All right.
Yeah, it's like if you know, you know, and if you don't, well, tough luck because they're doing big things. So what is the base level of knowledge? Like what is the elevator pitch? What is the one sentence version of EstateX and what people need to know?
One sentence. If I had to say, let's start with one sentence and we'll expand from there. We're bringing the real world into RWA. And the reason why I say that is it seems like an obvious thing to say, but unfortunately there's a lot of RWA companies out there or crypto companies out there that are just focusing on crypto. And RWA, as you know, stands for real world assets. Crypto is a small part of the world. RWA is massive, you know what I mean? So, if you go onto the streets of LA right now or Birmingham where I'm from and you stop 100 random people and say, are you currently invested in crypto? Most people are going to say no. If you ask them, have you ever thought about owning a piece of real estate in your life? They're going to say, yeah. So it blows our mind that you're not seeing more people actually focusing on the real world and actually the bigger picture, Web2, as well as Web3. So what makes Estateex unique is we're making investing in real estate simple, affordable, and accessible to anyone, anywhere. Doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter how much money you have, doesn't matter where you're from. As long as you have as little as $100, you can actually be a property owner and start making multiple streams of passive income, the capital gains, the rental income. So we're kind of reducing the gap between the rich and the poor because, the world is in a bit of a state of emergency at the moment. There's a lot of shit going on. The media are focusing on certain things, but the one thing the media isn't focusing on is the fact that the average Joe is struggling. You know what I mean? We're left to be paying crazy amounts for our groceries, crazy amounts for our electricity bills, our gas, all of this sort of stuff. And, the wages aren't really going back up. You know what I mean? So it's there needs to be a change. The average 30-year-old can't get into the property market. So when you live in a world like 2025, when the average 30-year-old can't get into the property market and the rates of inflation are going through the roof, fractional ownership of real estate is inevitable. Just like when the internet came out 30 years ago, online payments was inevitable and everything's online now, right? So fractional ownership of real estate is inevitable. The world's been waiting for the company to actually do it correctly. And EstateX, we've been building for the last 5 years. We built the company first. We launched our token recently. And, we are that company. We've been told that it's been done correctly. We're backed by the co-founder of USDT. The CEO of Remax England and Wales quit his job to become the CEO of EstateX. We have the team, we have the community, we have the investment, we have the backing, and we had a successful launch. We launched 3 months ago on Kraken, and MEXC. We got to 33x. We stabilize at a 4x right now, and we're only just getting started. And we'll get into it, but with the ecosystem and where we're going. But that's in a nutshell what Estateex is about, and we're really excited.
No, that's awesome. It's I don't want to say for short fractionalize everything, but I do think that the world needs more equitable ecosystems, and that's one thing that I'm building. At the end of the day, when I buy Nike shoes, I don't get Nike stock. When I get Amazon Prime renewed, I don't get Amazon stock. My Netflix, Hulu, when those renew for my mom, I do buy those stocks. But at the end of the day, the world is very much extract and take and take and take, and you're lucky if you have anything besides a memory or an experience at the end of something. So giving people the opportunity to grow with their investments at even baby steps. You're talking $100 investment into a property that might be 100,000 or 300,000 euros or pounds or quid or whatever, right? It's important to allow accessibility to participate, right? And as you said, the economy and the downturn and the conditions of today, tomorrow, and yesterday are very much contingent on the businesses that we're building tomorrow. And so I think when the world's divided from the middle class being erased and you're either a creator or consumer, you're either thriving or you're dying, something needs to happen, and that global shift is happening right now. And I do think that's one reason why real world asset companies are super important if done effectively, if bonded and tied to something effectively. So by saying that, I want to understand, how do you guys pair these fractions? I invest, let's say, or this is not financial advice. I give Steve here $100. He puts it into a property that all of his friends are already invested in. That $100 was the final piece of the pie to get that whole thing. Do I get like a sliver of a contract or a deed, or how does this happen? And what if I need to liquidate? What if I need to get my $100 out? Do we break off that piece of the house that I own and put it back on eBay, or like how does this work?
So great question. So what we do is it's called an SPV model. So it's basically SPV is like a vehicle, a business. So and then the ownership of the property will go under ownership of the business. And then the business is split into fractions. So that on our platform, which is that seamless transition from Web 2 to Web 3, it's kind of like a remix between Tinder and Amazon. You can swipe for different buildings and clicking add to cart, then boom, you own a piece of technology. And as I said, we're making investing in real estate as simple as online shopping. So just like you're buying something from Amazon, you would have set up your account, you already would have KYC'd, you already would have put a digital signature in. So it's literally just clicking a few buttons, and then you would own that piece of real estate. You would own that piece of that building. You'd own that share. So it's true ownership. This isn't like a REIT. This isn't like timeshares. You actually get a true ownership. So then actually you'll be able to see the capital gains go up, and you'll have to get ownership of that. You'll be able to see the rental income go up, and obviously you'll be able to draw down on that. Then next year we're setting up a secondary marketplace with our liquidity providers as well. So then if you wanted to sell it, you can actually just offload that instantly, and you either sell to a real person, or if that real person isn't available, our liquidity provider will buy that from you as well. So you can actually get in and get out.
Smart. I think I need to introduce you to my friend Brian, who owns Airbnb, because that is some free game and consulting that would actually blow up your. But no, at the end of the day, I think that's really cool. It's a unique model, and it allows everybody to participate at a low cost of entry with potentially really large returns. Potentially. How do you prevent...
Just talking about returns as well. So we launched our first property before we launched our token as well, because we wanted to just make sure it's almost like a low-key flex, really, because a lot of RWA projects, they launch their token first and they say we will tokenize, we want to, then turns out they haven't done the legalities, they haven't been gone for the years, they haven't got the right structure in place, and then you see them fizzle out. We've actually spent 4 years, Bart and his legal team spent 4 years literally getting the right licensing, the legal structures, so that we was able to tokenize the property before launch. It was only for accredited American investors. That's 0.5% of our database, and it still sold out in 5 minutes. Because we had the president of Remax was able to give us, because he was at Remax at the time, able to give us a great discount on this property. So I think we was able to give it like a 10% discount and 7% rental income as well. We can't legally say guaranteed rental income. However, it was paid up front by the developer. We've got it in a smart contract, so we can't touch it, and it's paid out regularly to our investors as well, type of thing. So to get 7% rental income when it's normally 4 to 5, and to get a 10%, instant 10%, then we're always making sure, even though, like you said, it's not legal advice, we're making sure that our investors get the best deals possible. I just wanted to say that. What's the question again? Because I just wanted to just get that out there.
No, you're good. I mean, it just sounds like a really unique way of diversifying your income, right? And then at the end of the day, it's still helping commercial real estate owners and also portfolios that might just be lingering. But as soon as it sells, I think you should have the opportunity for the people that are attached to that property in the interim to go up with it, or to get cut off depending on what that relationship is with the buyer and the seller.
But it's a real estate developer's dream. We've been approached by massive companies, massive real estate names, some that we can say, some that we can't say. We've recently announced a partnership with Melia branded resorts. We're recently doing something with Liberland as well. So, Justin's son, the owner of Tron, he has his kind of like, we'll announce more about it after, so I don't want to say too much, but we're going to be the official tokenization partner of Liberland and working with Justin's son, which is phenomenal. And we have some real big names, of real big hotel chains, holiday resorts, and even massive Dubai developers that we're going to be announcing very soon. And we're big, not just big for the average person, but we're also big for multimillionaires, institutions, governments. After this, we're going to go to Token 2049, but then after, I'm flying with Bart over to Dubai, and we have a meeting with the government, the Dubai government. I can't say too much about it, but when we're actually starting to deal with things on a government level, obviously things are really about to take off. So it's suitable for everybody, whether you're a multimillionaire, whether you're an institution, whether you're a family office, whether you're a government, whether you're a student, whether you're working class, a doctor. Estateex is something for everybody.
All right. Sounds like I need to buy up every property on the market of the Mac and Emar, right? No, that's awesome. I mean, I'm trying to wrap my head around it because it's really, really big. That's a huge undertaking and operation that you're creating, and it's not mutually exclusive to any geographic region. And I think there's massive potential in the areas that are underserved with ways to actually move some of these properties. And there are people that just want returns on their investments. They want, even if they're small, right? And it can sit in a bank account and it can increase. It can appreciate and get a yield that's slow, or it can sit in a crypto account and maybe be a little bit faster, but possibly a little, volatile or risky. So, real estate's one of the oldest industries and ways of people to generate revenue in this world. Creating an equitable, accessible way for people to participate in a market that realistically, typically has that very high ceiling or requires a lot of education, a lot of I dotting and T crossing. You guys are really thinking outside of the box, and I like that.
Even just to add to that, we have something coming out in the near future called EstateX Pay. So you mentioned about real estate. It's one of the most stable, most popular asset classes in the world, really. Like when people get extra money, they want to buy a rental home or so on and so forth. So EstateX Pay, imagine having a payment card. And we're going to be announcing a partnership with a massive payment card provider very soon. And you can kind of guess who it is because it's only one of two. So that's going to be huge. And then your whole real estate portfolio is on this actual payment card. So you can actually pay for your everyday goods and services with this. You can tap, you can swipe, you can use your chip and PIN. And through a DeFi off-ramp, it'll take the crypto and instantly convert into fiat. So you can go like to a restaurant, to the gym, pay your light bill, your gas. And that's revolutionary in itself, and it's never been done before. But if you actually deep it, it's actually going to eliminate the need for banks in the future. We're not saying we're here to take over the banks, but realistically, people need that choice. As I said earlier, people are trusting the banks less and less with the rates of inflation, but the banks have kind of got you by the balls though, right? Because they hold all the liquidity. If I said to you, go and withdraw $50 out the cash machine, you could do it quite easily. If I said go and withdraw $50 out your house, you couldn't, you know what I mean? You'd have to go and do a remortgage, sign your life away, probably about 10 grand minimum that you could withdraw. But with EstateX Pay, you get all of the benefits of the bank, where you can actually withdraw $50, but you get actually all of none of the disadvantages of the bank. Because if you're putting money in the bank, you're losing money for rates of inflation. But if you're putting money into real estate, you're gaining through capital gains and you're gaining through rental income. So let's say Sharon, the 30-year-old single mom from London, why would she want to put her wages in the bank where she's losing money? She can put her wages into real estate now. She can be gaining money through capital gains, gaining money through rental income, and she can still use it like a normal bank card as well. You know what I mean? So it's like the best of both worlds. So there's so many things that we're doing like that. The instant loans where you can loan up to 80% of your real estate portfolio. And then we're going to be launching worldwide financial literacy, empowering people not to loan to buy a PlayStation, which is a liability, but to do what the multimillionaires do, buy another property, compound that passive income, and actually start building your portfolio and start getting on that track to building generational wealth. You kind of see how we're connecting all the dots now, you know what I mean, and building that ecosystem that's for everybody.
Yeah. No, that's incredible. I mean, you're basically just compounding interest and creating leverage for people in a way that's seamless and accessible and inclusive, which most of the time investing in real estate isn't. And the financial literacy component of it is also so important. And I think that now more than ever, it's so much more necessary and needs to be blown up. There needs to be a lot of emphasis on it because kids today are learning from ChatGPT instead of Google. They're going on YouTube and TikTok for gurus and learning bits and pieces of what they can and trying to apply it in their everyday lives. But I think and
they're doing that because the school system has let them down. You know what I mean? Like education is more like indoctrination. It conditions us how to be employees. It doesn't teach us how to be a boss. Like the amount of kids that leave college without understanding the difference between an asset and a liability, or the importance of building passive income or good credit rating, or even how to set up a business, you know what I mean? And the reason for that is a whole of a conversation for a whole of a day, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, there's so much big gap in the market for good quality financial literacy, and we're going to be rolling 80% of it out for free. So we're going to be getting millions of users. We're already in talks with like major A-list celebrities. You guys may have seen the video with me and Paris Hilton, Snoop Dogg, Tiffany Haddish, all wanting to back the financial literacy side of things. So it's just a massive movement that we're creating. And it's not just from the real estate or the financial literacy side of things. It's also, as we're saying off camera, the sports teams, the music artists that we're going into, you know what I mean? And you've been from the music background yourself, you know how struggling the music industry at the moment. You know how hard it is for artists to be making money. You know how the record labels have kind of got the artists by the balls, just like the banks have got like the humans by the balls, and so on and so forth. So we're not just going to be disruptive for the real estate industry and the banking and lending industry and the education industry, but also the sports and entertainment industry as well. And we're on this epic journey, and we have the team and the licensing and the product and the backing and the infrastructure and the community. Shout out to the Estateex family all the time. We would be nothing without you. We've got everything in place to be on this epic journey to make history, and that's what we're doing. That's what we're going to continue to do. Watch this space.
All right, it's takeover time for EstateX, apparently. Feel like I could also be a really good spokesperson, educator, and more for you guys, too. So I'll look for that job offer in the mail. Is there anything else that you'd like the people to know about EstateX between now and the end of the year, or something that we didn't cover that you really think that people should be, remembering? There's a lot of information that was given. There's a lot of opportunities that are on the table. And I think in general, I would just subscribe to stay in the loop. But is there anything that you really want to drive home for the audience today?
Well, we spoke about the real estate side of things. We spoke about how we're leveling playing field for everybody, but also the benefits for institutions, property developers, millionaires as well. But the token, ESX token, yes, you have the property developer side of things, but we were at a crypto conference and some people will be like, okay, cool. I like real estate, but I like crypto, I like big returns better. So, check out our token, check out ESX, go to our Telegram, Estateex Official, go to our Twitter, Estateex EU, join the community, check out our token. It's a great time to get in. Again, not financial advice, but when we're launching our L1 blockchain, that's coming out in probably towards the end of this year, early next year, Q4, Q1, and so many other things that we're going to be doing infrastructurized to actually position ourselves to be the number one main authority in RWA. Because if you think about it, who's the number one main authority? You can't really name them right now. No one's really took that spot. And obviously with the Mantra situation, it's wide open now. We have everything in place to be that number one RWA authority. And I may or may not have mentioned, but we're launching the L1 blockchain, which is where we're going to be doing the sports teams, the token, the music artists, the white label platform, and so on and so forth. So realistically, my point being is there's so much upside to the token. It's, do your own research. But in my humble opinion, now is a very good time to invest because, there's so much more to come for ESX.
Sounds good. He's like, don't buy, but buy, but don't buy, but buy, don't buy. No, actually, it's a good time to buy.
Don't get it twisted. Buy. I don't want to mince my words. I'm just trying to let you guys know subtly, it's not financial advice. I want everybody to do their research. I want everybody to do that. But it's like, we can't predict the market, what happens tomorrow or next week. We're not a token that you have to monitor every day. Don't day trade ESX. But if you're looking for something that has the infrastructure, that has a team, and that is heavily, heavily undervalued right now and has a big future, then Estateex is the one. And within 1 to 2 to 3 quarters, you're going to see the growth of what's happening, and people are seeing the growth, within the last, several weeks or several months. So, it's a really, really strong situation. And the great thing that we're doing as well, which is what Bart just reminded me, is 20 to 30% of the revenue that's made in Web2 is going to flow back into the Web3 token. So, the real estate, the sports teams, the music, even like computer data centers, 20 to 35% is going to flow back into the token. The reason why this is important is because obviously, as you know, with crypto, you have the bull market and you have the bear market. Most crypto people, when the bear market comes, they're like, oh, well, we had a good run. I'll see you in a couple of years type of thing. But, heaven forbid, if Bitcoin was to just completely crash tomorrow, the world is still going to turn. People are still going to sports games. People are still downloading, streaming music. People are still buying properties. People are still using the data on their phones. The fact that we're going to be making revenue within the bear market, but that's going to be translated, infused, injected back into our Web3 token is going to be huge. So it means that we can be performing positively through the bear market. So I'm not saying this to sound in a bad way, but we're actually looking forward to the bear market because we feel that real RWA projects should shine in the bear market and should continue to rise. So I feel like RWA in the bear market is going to be a really, really strong narrative. And with our L1 blockchain, we're going to be incubating not just our own, but some other amazing RWA projects as well. So takeover season. Yeah. Oh, also unicorn season.
Nah, it's still loading. Please wait. Appreciate it. Well, that was a great conversation with the Estateex. Once again, we're at Korea Blockchain Week. Really appreciate your time, Steve. And we'll chop it up more. Looking forward to checking out what you guys have to offer behind the scenes. It seems really, really, really powerful.
No, appreciate you guys.
Thanks. Absolutely. We out. Peace.